Okay, so get this. We're going deep today into some pretty personal stuff. We're talking Albert Einstein, but not the even today we're getting into, like the real Einstein, stuff he thought would stay hidden, his secret diaries.
Oh, yeah. These diaries are like they're a window into, well, a different Einstein, one that's not quite the champion of human rights he's
Right.
known for.
Exactly. And it's all thanks to this new book by Ze'ev Rosenkranz, a historian. He put together all of Einstein's notes from this trip Einstein took in 1925 to South America.
Okay.
So picture this. Einstein, already a huge scientific celeb, goes to Uruguay, Argentina, and Brazil, and he's writing down everything he sees and thinks. No filter.
Yeah, and that's where things get a little complicated because the Einstein writing this stuff, saying some pretty prejudiced things.
This is also the same guy, publicly calling for tolerance and equality. Makes you wonder, right, like what other historical figures have these hidden sides to them? Okay, so let's follow Einstein's journey. First stop, Uruguay. He seemed to genuinely like the Uruguayans, describe them as really warm and hospitable.
Right, and that's important because it shows his biases weren't like directed at everyone. He could appreciate other cultures. But Argentina was different. He was pretty critical of them.
Yeah, I guess everyone has bad travel days, even geniuses, right? But then comes Brazil, and that's where things get really interesting.
Definitely interesting. Einstein loved Brazil. The landscapes, especially like Sugarloaf Mountain,
Yeah.
really captivated him. And he was fascinated by what he called the racial mix there. But
Yeah.
his fascination, it came with a lot of prejudice, which was, unfortunately, common back then.
You're talking about that whole geographical determinism thing, right? The idea that where you're born, like the climate, could actually affect how smart you are.
Exactly. Einstein, like a lot of intellectuals back then, really believed that climate could influence intelligence. It's kind of crazy to think about now.
Yeah, seriously. So that's the backdrop for Einstein's observations about Brazilians. And some of it is tough to read. He even uses the word monkeys. But hold on, isn't there something about that word in German?
Ah, that's right. In German, monkeys can also mean fools. So it's hard to know for sure what Einstein meant, but it adds another layer to his words.
Okay, so monkeys could have a double meaning, but then he also calls Brazilians cute, which seems, I don't know, less harsh.
Yeah. But that's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Because cute, coming from someone
Yeah.
who believed in geographical determinism,
Huh.
well, it could sound pretty patronizing, like he saw Brazilians as simple, childlike even.
Wow, so one little word can reveal a whole lot. So we have Einstein fighting for equality, but also holding on to these prejudices.
It's a very complicated picture.
It is, and it makes this deep dive all the more important. So let's get into Einstein's experience in Brazil.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah, those words, monkeys and cute, take on a whole new meaning. When you think about geographical determinism, it's like they reveal something really unsettling.
It's crazy how common those views were back then. Shows how far we've come, I guess. But also how important it is to keep fighting prejudice. But I keep thinking, this is Einstein we're talking about. He became a big advocate for racial equality, especially when he was in the U.S. So how do we explain that?
It's a tough question. And I think it shows how ideas can change, both for individuals and for society. In the 1920s, when Einstein wrote those diaries, the idea of racial equality, it wasn't popular, even among intellectuals. Geographical determinism was a way to justify things like colonialism.
So are you saying it's okay to excuse his remarks because of the time period?
Oh, no, not at all. It's not about excusing. It's about understanding. We can't forget the harm those ideas caused, even if they were widely accepted. It's about recognizing that progress isn't always a straight line. Even brilliant minds like Einstein can have flawed beliefs. And what's inspiring is that he later changed his views. He became a voice for equality.
So he was on a journey of understanding, just like all of us. But those diary entries, they show that even our heroes have their dark sides. It makes you wonder, what would Einstein think of the world today?
That's a great question. Maybe by looking at his struggles and how he changed, we can learn something for ourselves. But, Einstein's diaries weren't all bad. He also wrote about his love for nature.
Oh, right. He was clearly blown away by the landscapes. Like his description of Sugarloaf Mountain, it's almost like he had a spiritual experience.
Yeah, and his descriptions of the rainforests, the Amazon, they're full of awe and respect. It shows that even the most brilliant minds can be humbled by nature.
It makes him seem more human somehow, more relatable, like we're seeing a different side of him. The explorer, the adventurer. It's a good reminder that even geniuses can appreciate simple beauty Adds another layer to this whole thing, right?
Absolutely. It's an important contrast to the more disturbing parts of his diaries. It helps us see Einstein as a more complete person.
Okay, so we've talked about Einstein's prejudiced remarks, his love of nature, and the historical context. But I think we need to go back to this idea of geographical determinism and how it influenced his views.
Yeah, you're right. We can't just ignore it. It was a powerful ideology. It was used to justify colonialism and racial hierarchies. The idea was that some races were just naturally superior because of the climate they lived in. A dangerous oversimplification. That led to a lot of harm.
And it wasn't just Einstein. A lot of intellectuals believed this stuff.
Exactly. It was a flawed way of thinking, but it was widespread. And understanding that
Mhm.
is crucial to understanding Einstein's words. When he calls Brazilians monkeys or cute, he's seeing them through this lens, this distorted lens of geographical determinism. He's seeing them as products of their environment.
So even though we can't erase his words, knowing the historical context helps us see how those ideas took hold and how they were used to justify injustice.
Exactly. It's a cautionary tale about the power of ideas and how even scientific theories can be twisted to serve bad purposes.
Okay, I'm starting to see the connections here. We've looked at Einstein's personal diaries, the good, the bad, and the uncomfortable. We've explored his prejudices, his fascination with nature, and all the historical forces that shaped his worldview.
And through it all, we've encountered a basic truth about history. It's rarely simple or straightforward. Historical figures are complex. They're not just saints or villains. They're individuals shaped by their time, capable of great things and terrible things.
It's a humbling thought, and it should change how we approach history, how we learn from the past, and how we deal with the complexities of human nature. So where do we go from here, now that we've uncovered these uncomfortable truths?
That's a great question.
I don't know about you, but this whole deep dive, it's left me feeling kind of, I don't know, uneasy. How do we reconcile the Einstein we thought we knew with the guy who wrote those things in his diary?
It's a tough one for sure. We tend to put our heroes on a pedestal, but they're human, just like us, with flaws and biases. These diaries remind us that even geniuses can get things wrong. Brilliance doesn't equal moral perfection.
It's like we found this hidden chapter in Einstein's story, and it's full of contradictions. On one hand, he's unlocking the secrets of the universe, and on the other, he's expressing these prejudiced views.
And maybe that's the key takeaway here. We have to look beyond the surface and resist the urge to simplify things, to say someone is all good or all bad. History is messy. Human nature is messy. And we have to embrace that if we really want to learn.
It makes you realize progress isn't always a straight line. Even Einstein, who eventually fought for equality, started out with some pretty messed up beliefs.
Exactly. It shows the importance of growth, of constantly challenging our own ideas. If Einstein could evolve, so can we. It's a reminder to examine our own biases.
It's easy to judge people from the past, but it's more helpful to try and understand the context they were living in. It makes you think, what are we doing today that people in the future will judge us for?
That's a really important question, and it reminds us to be humble. We don't have all the answers. There's always more to learn.
So to everyone listening, think about this. How has this deep dive changed how you see Einstein? And what can we learn from his mistakes? How can we keep our minds open to new information, to different perspectives? And how can we challenge our own beliefs? It's not always easy, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. Finding truth and understanding requires courage and an open mind. It's a journey we're all on together.